What's something that teens think is cool but really isn't? That guy who graduated a couple years ago but still hangs out at the after school spot and buys the cigs and alcohol for everyone so you keep him around. The one who has dozens of stories that are wild and exciting but has no friends his age to back him up. Come on. Every town has that guy. And he fills a niche in society that might be necessary. I have been the smokes beer beneficiary from such dudes in my youth. At some point I realized I didn't want to be that guy. It can be a benefit to society to have bad examples in it. Being disrespectful to teachers. I see this a lot. As a 14-year-old girl, I find it annoying I can't learn for the sake of other people's entertainment. Those kids should all be put in one class together so they only impact their own grades and marks, not anyone else's. Cycling around with loudspeakers on their bike so everyone can enjoy their music. I have experienced that but with people going into a bus. I mean, come on. I'm an old man now who takes his young son to the scatter park where I expect to find punks and druggies and other assorted teens who just wanna be cool. Cause frankly that's how it was when I was a kid. While that's still what you see on the surface. The truth is, it's really just a bunch of good kids trying to figure life out at one of the most confusing times. And if you watch them, they mostly are just kind to one another. You kids gonna be alright. Close bracket. Vaping and smoking and all of that. Like I'm 18 and it just annoys me when people my age make it their personality or try to brag about it. For real, it's not my personality and I don't enjoy doing it. But since I went to rehab I became addicted to coffee and nicotine, which is better than alcohol and coke I guess. I quit cigs around 19 since I smoked them from 14-15ish, but going into rehab where everyone smoked, I ended up getting a vape, not the obnoxious cloud ones, but almost the size of a Tic Tac box one. Now I've been out for a year and it's the next thing I want to work on stopping. Being sarcastic all the damn time. 13-year-old me lived and breathed that sarcasm as the greatest form of wit meme. I was such a little shit. When I was on Tinder, it seemed like every other profile included the line fluent in sarcasm and it got so cliche. I started judging these people as unoriginal and uninteresting. Thankfully I'm not on Tinder anymore. Faking depression, anxiety, etc. Trust me, you don't wanna have that. I'm not saying they're faking it, but the kids who showed off and bragged about their scars and shit. Like, look, I gave myself 3 new scars last night. I have some serious deep issues. I really should get help. Teehee. Double quote. I thought I didn't have depression because I didn't cut myself or try to commit suicide. I dealt with it differently and secretly. Making F-King TikToks in the school bathroom when some people are just trying to take a F-King piss. Oh my gosh, thank you, I have never related to something this much in my life. Cause of COVID-19 the bathrooms have a limit of 5 people. So what usually happens is I really need to take a shitty, so I go to the bathrooms like a normal human being during lunch, and what do I see? 50 FCKING people just standing around doing TikToks. And you know the worst part? They aren't even outside the cubicles, so I can't pee and end up having to hold it until the end of the day. And you can't ask during the rest of class cause you know how that goes with teachers. Faking a mental illness. It's not a cute personality trait. Especially when they message you at night telling you that they're gonna KTS, making you worry. Then ghost you for the rest of the night. Only to find out they did that to other people. Like, FCK off. My ex did this to me. Spending your entire life at the behest of social media and the internet in general. Also, despite what you believe or how much they cost, your trainers look like shit. Ostracizing, teasing, bullying, or marginalizing other kids because they are different. Sadly, many don't grow out of this when they become adults. Double quote. I regret being pretty mean to some kids in high school because they were going through a goth phase or had some weird quirk. It's hard to have empathy at 14. Buying expensive sneakers, clothing with a brand name on it, paying 10 times more for shitty materials with a brand logo than the actual production price. One girl in my grade was bullied relentlessly because she was seen walking near a Savers. When 2008 rolled around, most of the rich kids in our school realized that they are now the poor kids. Not considering that everything they do, once posted on the web, exists forever. Asterisk. The dumb teenage nonsense will be at the fingertips of any law enforcement, prospective mate, university admissions staffer, or employer who can use a search engine, sending naked photos to their partners. It's something many adults have trouble with. Those things hardly ever stay private, and often take on a life of their own. TikTok. Having followers, when in real life you won't acknowledge or want those people anywhere near you. Being a nobody is vastly underrated nowadays, and teens should realize that social media isn't the be all and end all. Something that really resonated about what you just said, so being a nobody is vastly underrated nowadays. I completely agree. I'm a teen and the only social media I have is Reddit. I used to have a Tumblr too, and being pretty introverted, I like being disconnected from everything sometimes. Not sure if that's what you meant, but that's how I took it. Close bracket. Damage to other people's or public property. I get depressed when I think of some of the stupid shit I used to do as a teenager. Smashing people's mailboxes with a baseball bat just because the cool kids were doing it is one of them. Funny thing is, the cool kid I'm thinking of turned out to be the biggest loser in town as an adult. Destroying things. A cemetery in my town, with headstones dating back to the 1600s, had to stop access to the grounds. We used to take walks on the paths looking at the headstones, because teenagers were coming in at night and smashing up the headstones. I've seen a few other examples, destroying gardens, statues, decorations people have put in their yards, etc. Get a life. Bragging about how little sleep they get. Like, come on man. Alzheimer's isn't cool. I doubt everyone is like this, but those 13-14-year-old girls who think having depression is quirky or cool annoy me. Taking and sending nudes. Definitely not cool and technically child pornography. It's not even just technically child pornography. There are teens who are on the sex offender registry because their boyfriends or girlfriends sent them nudes that they saved. Likewise, sending nudes of yourself taken before the age of 18 is, legally speaking, distribution of child pornography. Have fun explaining that in 10 years when it shows up on your background check. Smoking. Getting so drunk they pass out. Man, I am so wasted. Slippery slope there folks, I've been there and it's not cool. Driving their cars really fast and doing burnouts donuts. Also choosing to do things to their cars that don't make sense. Have them lowered. Bright ugly paint. Big tires that look wrong etc. At least I think they're teens. I assume they are and they will grow up one day. Close bracket. TikTok. Snapchat everything. I live in a pretty nice place with amazing beaches. Some teens and people in general you see at the beach just with their heads in their phones. Selfies and TikTok dancing to a beach backdrop. Put your phone down. Go for a surf or a walk. Just chill for a bit and live a bit. Social media isn't everything. Vaping. Weed and alcohol. I'm sure if you're not a straight up alcoholic or addicted to the other two by the time you're 25 the novelty will wear off. Kids do that stuff literally because they're not supposed to. I mean, drugs produce desirable effects. The motivation isn't always to seem cool. In fact, a lot of teens I've known keep their drug use under wraps out of fear of embarrassment or being labeled ostracized as a loser or poser. Face tattoos. I just don't get it. I am aware that they're not allowed to get one legally until they turn 18, at least in Europe, but still have seen some. Oh, and being rude. Covered party. I'm a teen, and I can say with certainty that vaping and drugs are cool. I have never done them and would never. Last year, I remember going to class when everybody brought a F-King vape with them. I have no idea how none of them got caught. They were literally sharing the same vape. Don't smoke, kids. It's bad for your health. Being a teen. I work in education. It's hilarious how common it is for teens to think that they are better than adults and above all better than younger children. Being in a gang. Any illegal activity really. But especially in a gang because you have gang enhancements if you get charged with a crime. Really though, most people in gangs are not like what you hear about in the news or see in movies. A lot of them are just people that hang around, get high, and are testing it out. They are not these hyper-violent individuals that most people think of when they hear gang. Those people that you should worry about are a much smaller number than what's put out there. Killing themselves. If you mean romanticizing suicide, I completely agree. It's not something to be glorified. And it's extremely disrespectful to the people who are actually affected by it. Drinking, smoking pot, risky sex, and being edgy or keeping it real when you're really just an insecure child. Especially the last one. 16-year-old here. I get so annoyed by people disrespecting teachers. Kids smoking and bragging about it. Bragging about driving over the highway without a license. Bragging about getting drunk every weekend. Bragging about having bad grades. Etc. Oh, and showing off online. People don't realize that not being known has more advantages than being known. Undervaluing education. It's the I don't care about school BC I'm gonna be famous mentality lol. My school it was I'm just going to live in the woods and hunt my own food. The kids who thought they were going to do this all got dead-end shitty jobs and pumped out kids before they were 20. Didn't quite make it to the woods, did you, Jesse? This may be a cultural thing, and it may not be prevalent now. But solving problems or issues with violence among teens used to be a pretty rad thing to do. You may look cool and tough by getting into fights, but life ain't Fight Club, mate. Vaping. The teen smoking rate was so low thanks to so much hard work people did to make smoking seem like appealing and less available to high schoolers especially. But now vaping is back with big time with this age group. Kids who probably would never have touched a cigarette are now addicted to vaping. I have no problems with adults vaping or smoking. It's their prerogative. But kids have no idea what they're setting themselves up for. Swearing. There's a college near me, UK. So these are 16-19-year-olds. And every other word is fucking. I don't give a shit about bad language. These kids are clearly just showing off and trying to act grown up. Despite the fact that adults don't swear nearly as much. A lot of them suddenly develop a black London accent. Despite being as white and middle class as they come and 300 miles from London. It's pretty funny really. Choosing socializing over education grades. It's not worth it. People fade and you're still responsible for your life. It's important to have balance. Completely forgetting about your social life to focus on grades 24/7 isn't healthy either. Public Fortnite dances. At this point I think it's some kind of way to attract females to have intercourse with them like peacock do with their feathers. Being liked by everyone. No one can be their authentic self and be liked by everyone. Someone's always going to have their issues with you. Alcohol. The culture of being savage on the internet. Showing off on the internet. Picking up fights with random strangers on the internet. Gang culture. No care for health. As a teen I may be wrong. But I know that something like a Lamborghini SVJ is a rubbish car for anywhere other than a racetrack or a drag strip. You're much better off having a Golf GTI. Playing horrible rap music. I mean the songs are shit. And also screaming penis loudly on a bus. Constantly giving other people shit. Even if it's a joke. If you constantly do it you'll end up looking like a dick. Sex is now a thing in middle school. The amount of sex and drugs circling my town at the ages of 12 plus is concerning. My graduating class had 105 students with 4 children and 1 on the way. Small town with lots of teen parents. I started hearing about people losing their virginities at 12 and 13, so I'm assuming it's similar or worse now since I am in my 20s. I am disgusted by the amount of minors and people I consider children talking about having sex. Nasty. Keep it in your pants until you are prepared to deal with the consequences of sex such as pregnancies and STDs. Age difference relationships. It's not cool that the 23-24-year-old college graduate is interested in your 16-year-old self. Wearing their hats barely on top of their head. Almost hovering above. Looks idiotic. Using mental health conditions as common terms for moods. GOMG, you're so annoying. You're giving me PTSD. I have actually heard this said and it took everything in my power to bite my tongue as I was working retail at the time. As someone who has several extreme mental health conditions including CPTSD, and I find this behavior not only disrespectful but disgusting. Drinking. This is coming from teen. Look, you might call me uptight or not cool or orthodox, whatever, I don't really care. Whatever names you call me doesn't really change the fact that it disgusts the hell out of me when I see my classmates drinking at parties. Going to pubs and boasting about it on Insta stories. They might think that they are so cool that they are having alcohol at the age of 14, 15, 16, but it's not cool. It's never cool. This is also coming from a person who has grown up hearing stories what alcohol does to a body. How it shatters the mind and the body if overdone. Also, this is not a hate post towards legal adults who consume alcohol. Underage drinking. Bringing vodka on an overnight school trip. What if a parent or administration found out about the vodka? Guess who would get punished for it? Not the student but the teacher. Taking education for granted. Mouthing off to teachers. Not doing homework. Bragging that you finished your final essay 30 minutes before the deadline. Acting as though fascination with mathematics, history, linguistics, science, etc. is nerd shit. Not paying attention in class because when will we ever use this in the real world? Double quote. It's a huge privilege to go to school. And it enriches you. It will improve the rest of your life. But people still act like they're above it all. I remember in high school. Lots of kids were complete slacks in class. If the teacher asked them a question, they replied something aloof and sarcastic. They were ultimately selling themselves short. Because they were too aloof to discover what subjects they liked. They missed out on personality development. Carrying knives. Then you grow older and realize how dangerous your city can really be. Then you want to at least carry a knife. I used to think selling drugs was cool in high school until I started selling drugs and I met whole bunch of other drug dealers and they're all a bunch of f-king low life losers that I don't want to be anything like. Getting pregnant. I will never understand how little girls can think that making babies while they themselves are still children can qualify as a good idea. Speeding in front of people they know after they just got their license. While I was in high school, after someone just got their license they would speed past the bus stop in the morning.